I used to believe my life was peaceful, maybe even blessed. I had a loving husband, a calm home, and a simple routine I cherished. We weren't perfect, but we were stable, and I thought that was enough. Everything began to change the day my father remarried. He brought home a woman named Nandita. She was polite at first, graceful, well-spoken, with just the right amount of sweetness in her voice to seem genuine. Along with her came her daughter, Anya. My new stepsister was younger, bubbly, and unusually interested in everything I did. At first I thought they were trying to bond. I welcomed it. I believed in family. But slowly things shifted. Nandita began making small comments about how I ran the house. Offhand critiques dressed as concern. "You always cook the same things," she'd say with a smile. "You should wear more color. You look so dull." Anya would spend long evenings chatting with my husband, Raj. She'd giggle at everything he said, touch his arm a little too much, but always pull back just in time, like she knew the exact line not to cross. I tried not to overthink it. I blamed my restlessness on the changes, the adjustment period. But then Raj started acting differently. He came home late. He'd forget to tell me things. He began to side with them in small disagreements, like I was being too sensitive or rigid. It wasn't obvious at first. It was a slow, creeping shift, like water quietly rising around my ankles. They never confronted me. They didn't need to. Their strategy was smarter. Twist, nudge, whisper. A word here, a seed there. I started doubting myself. Maybe I was overreacting. Maybe I was difficult. But deep inside something began to stir, a warning I couldn't ignore. I didn't know it yet, but they were already working to destroy my life. And I was already losing everything I'd built, one manipulated moment at a time. Living under the same roof as my stepmother and stepsister began to feel like walking a tightrope over fire. Nandita, my stepmother, had a talent for turning everyday moments into landmines. She never raised her voice. She didn't need to. Her power came from smiles laced with venom and compliments edged with cruelty. "I made your favorite dish, Raj," she'd say sweetly at dinner, placing it in front of my husband. Then she'd glance at me and add, "I noticed she forgot you liked this. It must be hard, juggling everything and still keeping a man happy." Raj would chuckle. I would smile tightly. But inside I burned. And Anya, she was worse. She hovered around Raj like a shadow. Playful, always laughing, always just too close. If I ever said anything, she'd look at me wide-eyed and say, "I'm just being friendly. You're not jealous, are you?" Then she'd pout and walk away, making me feel like the paranoid villain. What made it unbearable was how convincing they were to everyone else. To the world, they were a charming mother-daughter duo, making an effort to blend into the family. To Raj they were sweet, supportive, concerned. And they were poisoning him against me. They started with small lies. "She snapped at me, but I didn't want to upset you. She seems distant lately. Is everything okay between you two? I don't want to interfere, but she's been talking about you behind your back." First Raj brushed it off. Then slowly his eyes changed. He became suspicious, cold. He stopped asking for my opinion, stopped looking at me the same way. Every disagreement turned into a battle. He accused me of overreacting, of making his mother and sister uncomfortable. One night I heard him say to Nandita, "I just want peace in this house." She sighed and said, "So do I, beta. But peace is hard when someone can't control her anger." I stood there, unseen behind the hallway wall, shaking. I began to doubt myself. Was I the problem? They turned our home into a performance. They'd smile in front of guests, laugh during family meals. But behind the curtain, they whispered poison into every crevice of my marriage. I felt like a stranger in my own house. My husband, the man who once held my hand through everything, now barely looked at me without suspicion. Every word I spoke was twisted. Every silence was weaponized. And no one seemed to notice. They smiled at dinner, then stabbed me in the dark. But I wasn't ready to break. Not yet. They thought they were winning. They had no idea who they were trying to destroy. There's a specific kind of pain that comes when the person who once swore to protect you now accuses you of being the enemy. It started with strange tension in the air. Raj would come home and barely acknowledge me. Then came the accusations. You don't respect me anymore. You talked down to my mother. Anya said you yelled at her again today. Why are you always picking fights? I was stunned. I tried to stay calm. Raj, I never said anything to Anya. She's twisting everything. But he looked at me like he didn't recognize me. You've changed, he said. Well, I hadn't changed. I had simply been surrounded by liars for too long. My stepmother, Nandita, began acting like the wounded matriarch, dropping gentle hints to the extended family. I don't know what happened. I tried to be her mother. I really did. Anya would cry during gatherings. Fake soft sobs. I wish she liked me. I tried so hard. It worked. Their script was perfect. I became the villain in my own family's story. The final blow came one rainy evening. I was making dinner, trying to pretend things were okay. Raj walked in with folded arms and a flat expression. I've made my decision, he said. I turned, heart already pounding. What decision? I want a divorce. The knife didn't cut me deeper than those 4 words did. I dropped the spoon in my hand. Raj, please, we can fix this. Let's talk. Don't let them destroy us. But he had made up his mind. Or rather, they had made it up for him. You're manipulative, he said quietly. You make everyone around you feel small. It was like watching a stranger wearing my husband's face. I went numb. For days I pleaded. Cried. Not because I couldn't live without him, but because I couldn't believe I was being torn apart by lies, and no one cared to ask for the truth. My own family started pulling away. They looked at me with pity, not belief. He wouldn't leave you for no reason, they said. They were wrong. He had a reason. He believed the wrong people. When the papers arrived, my hands trembled. I sat alone in the room where we used to laugh. Sign after sign. Memory after memory fading into ink. I signed the papers with shaking hands, but fire in my heart. They thought they won. But in that moment something shifted. The same hands that had been shaking began to steady. I wiped my tears. They had broken my marriage, but they had no idea what kind of woman rises from ashes. They thought I'd disappear quietly. They expected heartbreak to silence me, humiliation to bury me. But grief sharpens the mind in a way comfort never could. After the divorce, I moved back into my childhood bedroom, haunted by everything I'd lost. The house still echoed with my stepmother's soft, conniving voice and Anya's sweet, fake giggles. But I wasn't broken. I was focused. They wanted me gone. I wanted the truth out. I started going through everything: texts, emails, call histories. I remembered little moments that seemed insignificant at the time but now struck like thunderclaps. The first clue was a deleted message I recovered from my old phone backup. It was a screenshot. Anya texting someone pretending to be me. She'd used a fake number. A second phone I later traced back to her. The message read, I can't stand living with Raj anymore. I wish I'd never married him. She sent that to my husband, pretending it came from me. Then came more. Doctored photos of me hugging an old friend at a reunion, deliberately angled to look romantic. Cropped out was the fact that his fiancée was standing next to us. She also emailed Raj anonymously from a burner account, claiming I was having an affair and threatening to expose me. The email even included one of my private diary entries, something only someone who had access to my bedroom could have found. That someone was Anya. But it wasn't just her. One day, I overheard a conversation between Nandita and one of her relatives. I recorded it. She was too proud, Nandita said smugly. Now she's right where she belongs. Alone. Her voice was calm, calculated, triumphant. Froze. But I kept recording. When Anya and Nandita left the house one afternoon, I searched their room. Hidden under clothes and inside drawers were more damning things. A USB drive with files showing fabricated conversations, fake screenshots between me and random men. A detailed log of Raj's insecurities. They had studied him, exploited him. They knew exactly how to make him doubt me. The final crack came during a phone call I recorded with Anya, when I confronted her with everything. "You were always the golden child," she hissed. "You think everything should go your way. I just evened the scales. So you ruined my marriage." Asked, my voice cold. "You ruined it yourself," she snapped. "I just helped it along." That recording became my weapon. I compiled everything. Photos, recordings, metadata, timelines. My hands shook not with fear but power. I wasn't unraveling anymore. I was building my case. Piece by piece, betrayal by betrayal. They had counted on silence. I gave them documentation. They had bet on me breaking. I gave them the truth, undeniable and sharp. This wasn't just revenge. It was revelation. They wanted me gone. I wanted the truth out. And soon it would be. The world, my family, even Raj, were about to see exactly who they'd believed. The day I chose to confront them wasn't impulsive. It was strategic, measured, precise. I waited for the perfect moment. A family gathering meant to rebuild connections after the divorce. My father, my cousins, uncles, aunties. Even Raj was invited by Nandita herself, probably hoping to flaunt how well things had turned out for her. Came prepared. A USB drive in my purse. Printouts in my folder. And a calmness in my chest that surprised even me. When everyone was seated, and the small talk faded into awkward silence, I stood up. "I know this gathering was supposed to be peaceful," I began. "But there's something I need to say. Something that can't wait any longer." Nandita narrowed her eyes. Anya looked bored, until I placed the folder on the table. "Everyone here believed I destroyed my marriage," I continued. "That I was unfaithful, that I lied. But none of that was true. And I can prove it." I pulled out the evidence. Photos, messages, audio transcripts, the recording of Nandita bragging, the text logs between Anya and Raj, laced with manipulation, the fake screenshots, paired with the originals. Silence. No one moved. Raj's face turned pale. He picked up one of the transcripts, reread it, and looked at Anya. "Is this true?" he asked, voice shaking. Anya stood panicked. "She's making this up. She photoshopped these. She's obsessed with ruining us." "Really?" I replied. "Then why does your name appear in the file properties? Why is your voice on this recording?" Press play. Nandita's voice filled the room. "Now she's right where she belongs. Alone." He gasped. "You recorded me. How dare you? How dare you?" I snapped, voice rising for the first time. "How dare you ruin a woman's life out of jealousy and bitterness? You were supposed to be family." My father looked like the floor had dropped out from beneath him. I didn't know," he muttered, eyes wide. Raj was speechless. He didn't even try to defend himself. He just stared at the table, realizing he'd been a puppet in their little performance. Later that night I went one step further. I posted a blog entry, anonymously but detailed. I didn't name them, but those who knew, knew. I shared how manipulation, lies, and emotional abuse had destroyed my marriage. I included clips, screenshots, receipts, just enough to paint the picture. The story exploded online. Messages flooded in, from women who'd faced the same. From people in my community who had quietly doubted the whispers about me. Support replaced shame. Silence became solidarity. Anya quit her job a month later after her office caught wind of the screenshots. Nandita faded from the family circle. Her mask had cracked beyond repair. Raj tried to call me once. I didn't answer. Because I wasn't that woman anymore. They ruined my name. So I made sure everyone knew theirs. The truth didn't just set me free. It chained them to the lies they built. After everything collapsed, I didn't stay in the ruins. Moved, not just physically but emotionally, spiritually, into a life that was finally mine. I found a small apartment in a city where no one knew me as Raj's wife, or Nandita's stepdaughter. I started over, carrying nothing but the lessons I'd bled for. First I was afraid. Afraid to trust again, to speak too loudly, to believe in myself. But then something shifted. I enrolled in a course I had shelved for years. Digital design. I'd always been drawn to art, to creating, but I'd been told it wasn't practical. This time, I didn't ask for anyone's permission. I launched a freelance business within months. And soon, clients began to find me. I made new friends, real ones. Women who had fought their own battles. We didn't judge each other for scars. We honored them. And while I grew, they fell. I heard from distant relatives that Anya was no longer the golden girl. Her friends drifted. Her social media dried up. She was no longer admired, only tolerated. As for Nandita, she became a cautionary tale. The family she tried to control turned their backs. Her own siblings stopped inviting her. The silence she once weaponized now surrounded her. Then came Raj. Text one evening. I didn't know. I should have listened. Can we talk? I stared at it, smiled faintly, and deleted it. He had listened. Just not to me. I didn't block him. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. That chapter wasn't mine anymore. Because here's the thing about losing everything. When you build again, you do it stronger. With boundaries. With truth. With no one else's approval needed. I still remember the woman who cried in a lawyer's office, signing away a marriage she didn't deserve to lose. But I also remember how she stood, eventually taller than ever. They took my marriage. I took back my dignity. And honestly, that was the better deal. It's strange how pain becomes a teacher, and betrayal becomes a blueprint. I look back now, not with anger but clarity. The version of me that once begged to be heard, to be believed, no longer exists. She was shattered, yes, but every shard became part of the foundation I stand on now. They thought I was weak, that I'd crumble in silence, that I'd live out my days haunted by a broken marriage and poisoned trust. But what they didn't know was this. When you burn a woman's world down, you better pray she doesn't rise from the ashes. 'Cause I did. And I became someone they never expected. I am independent. Not just financially but emotionally. I sleep peacefully. I work on my terms. I travel without asking for permission. I surround myself with people who uplift me, not compete with me. My peace is non-negotiable now. And love. If it comes, it will be earned. Not manipulated. Not inherited by obligation or twisted by jealousy. Real love knows my worth. I don't settle anymore, because I am no longer afraid to be alone. Some people still whisper. Some still try to rewrite the story. But I don't care. 'Cause I have the truth. Have myself. And I have something they never expected me to have again. Joy.